photos on mainstream newspapers showing hundreds of Kenyans queuing in various petrol stations. Madam Speaker, at one moment, many thought this has something to do with the current Ukrainian war between Russia and Ukraine. But, Madam Speaker, we now know that it is a crisis so far afflicting only Kenya. No wonder people of Busia and other neighboring towns are going to seek fuel in neighboring Uganda, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Kenya is a net importer of fuel. Yes, we have made efforts to invest in oil rigs in Turkana, but as at now, we continue importing fuel. And Madam Speaker, based on that fact, we are wondering how come the government of Kenya failed to ensure we have enough products in the Republic of Kenya to ensure we don't have this shortage. Madam Speaker, my attention has been drawn by an official statement from the relevant governmental authority to the extent they are admitting that we have enough fuel, and therefore these long lines of Kenyans queuing in various petrol stations should not be occurring. Madam Speaker, it appears, as per the various reports which have been published in various media stations, the fuel shortage has been occasioned by the government failure to pay subsidy to the oil marketers, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am aware of a government subsidy program.
What's the point of order, Senator Dulo?
Just a clarification, Madam Speaker. I thought Senator Kangata is giving notice.
It's already given, and it has been granted.
Oh, he's moving?
Yes, he's now moving.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
I thought you were in the house.
So, Madam Speaker, we all know there is a government program where it sets aside amounts of money to pay oil marketers to ensure that Kenyans, they don't pay huge sums for the various products. Madam Speaker, for the last 1 week or 2 weeks, the marketers have been complaining they have not been given or paid accruing subsidy monies. As a result, Madam Speaker, the oil marketers are unable to sell petroleum products and fuel products at the current rates which have been set by Energy Regulatory Authority. As a result, we do not have enough oil being supplied to Kenyans. Madam Speaker, Kenyans are suffering. The border riders, the matatu drivers, the matatu owners, private vehicles owners are suffering, Madam Speaker. When you have a situation where teachers who are currently supposed to go to mark national exam are unable to travel, when you have sick people who are unable to go to hospital because transportation has been disrupted by this crisis. Madam Speaker, when you have farmers' products are unable to go cross county because of fuel disruptions, Madam Speaker. When you go to a petrol station as an owner of a motor vehicle, you are being told you can only fuel 1,000 Kenya shilling. Despite, notwithstanding, maybe you want to make a journey of about 600 kilometers. Madam Speaker, Kenyan economy is going to contract as a result of this fuel crisis. Madam Speaker, what about the millions of Kenyans who use paraffin as a fuel, Madam Speaker? When you have poor Kenyans who cannot be able to buy gas, they use paraffin. But now they are unable to do so because paraffin is not in the market. When you have a situation where petrol stations are being closed. I come from a county called Muranga County. In Kangema, the entire Kangema constituency, the entire Madhya constituency, the entire Keharo constituency, it was only one single petrol station that had fuel, called MTN. Madam Speaker, it is so unfair when you go to places like Keno, places like Gatanga, Kandara, Kigumo, the entire Maragua constituency. You do not have enough fuel. It's only 1 or 2 or 3 petrol stations that have fuel. Madam Speaker, I am inquiring, where did the fuel subsidy sums go to? Some people suspect that fuel subsidy program was used for BBI. We want the relevant government entities to clarify and to confirm to Kenyans that the fuel subsidy money, which is billions of shillings, was not used for BBI purposes. Maybe it is after the collapse of BBI, they are unable to retrieve that money back. Without that explanation, Kenyans have to blame this government, and this government must be taken to account by this parliament. We want to be given a reason by the concerned minister. That minister should have resigned as at today. Why is it that you have caused Kenyans untold suffering? Madam Speaker, if Kenya was a fully functioning democratic society, the concerned minister should have resigned. If this government was worth its salt, when they see millions of Kenyans lining up in various petrol stations, it should have quit. It should have resigned, because what is happening in Kenya is a major tragedy. Madam Speaker, the fuel in Uganda passes through Nairobi and Mombasa. The fuel in Southern Sudan passes through Nairobi and Mombasa. The fuel in DRC Congo passes through Mombasa port. How come we do not have a crisis in Uganda, in South Sudan? We do not have a crisis in DRC Congo. Madam Speaker, it is because of mismanagement of this economy by the current government. I urge...
Senator, just 1 minute. Senator Ngugi, what's your point of intervention?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker is a distinguished senator for Muranga in order to mislead the nation that whatever is happening in Kenya is an isolated case. Yet even the president of Tanzania, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, in her statement last week, warned the politicians to be forthright with the truth that even them in Tanzania, they face the same crisis. And therefore, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Senator should stop misleading the nation of Kenya, and we should stop politicizing this matter, Madam Speaker. It is true that this issue has really affected all of us, including myself. However, this matter should not be politicized. Thank you.
Senator Kangata, please stick to your... Kindly stick to the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand guided. But, Madam Speaker, I'm just looking for the soul of this government. If it is indeed a government with a soul, they should be feeling pity for the millions of Kenyans who are suffering because of its management of the energy sector, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would be glad if evidence can be tendered before this Honorable House showing there's a fuel crisis in Tanzania, showing there is a fuel crisis in Uganda. Yeah, it is to the best of my knowledge, and I stand to be guided. In the entire East African region, the only country having this problem is Kenya. And if indeed it is a regional problem, indeed, that does not mean two wrongs make it right. But to the best of my knowledge, it is this government that has been unable to ensure we do not have queues of thousands of Kenyans piling up in various stations, gas stations. Madam Speaker, a good government should have done the following. One, ensure we have strategic reserves, which in times of various fluctuations, it goes to that reserve, it releases the oil to the market to ensure they stabilize the oil prices. Number two, the subsidy program, which to the best of my knowledge, was given billions of Kenya shillings. It should be utilized during this period. But to the best of my knowledge, then the government has admitted it has failed to utilize or to give out that fund to various oil marketers. And to that reason, that explains why we have a major oil deficit in this Republic of Kenya. That is enough reason for the concerned minister to resign. It is enough reason for this government to tell Kenyans it is sorry because of this fuel crisis. For those reasons, Madam Speaker, allow me to call distinguished Senator Moses Wetangula to second me. Thank you.
Senator Agata, can you get a seconder?
Yes.
Oh, Senator Wetangula.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to salute the distinguished senator from Murang'a for bringing this motion at this timely period. Madam Speaker, it does not matter which side of the political divide you stand or sit today, the country is hurting, and hurting badly. The price of fuel, Madam Speaker, has skyrocketed to unprecedented levels. Last week, Madam Speaker, I left Nairobi on Wednesday and fueled a car at 123 per liter. The following 2 days, I fueled the same car in Kisumu. It was at 152 shillings per liter. Kisumu is your account, Madam Speaker. And it's not because of the traders, it's because of the irresponsible manner in which this uncaring government is handling public affairs. Madam Speaker, this is a very critical moment in this country. One, the rains are setting in. So the breadbasket of this country, the counties stretching from Nakuru all the way to the Uganda border, which includes your county, are preparing for planting season for the main stable food crop of this country, maize. There is no diesel, so the farmers cannot plow their farms. There is no diesel. Those who use large-scale equipment, planting machines, cannot do so. And those, even with last year's harvest, cannot ferry the crop to the market because there's no fuel. That creates a crisis, Madam Speaker, that hits everybody, more particularly persons living in urban centers where they have no farms, they rely on buying food. Madam Speaker, Kenyans travel to and from work because of our attachment to our rural homes. Every weekend, Kenyans travel to their rural homes from where they work. Nairobi is virtually half empty during weekends. People travel to Kiambu, to Murang'a, to Nakuru, to wherever, all the way to Western. Now they can't travel because the moment the price of fuel skyrockets, there's no fuel, everybody wants to take advantage of the other. Fuel is a critical component of every production sector, Madam Speaker. Whether you are talking of flour milling, you need fuel. You are talking of baking bread, you need fuel. You are talking of generating electricity from thermal plants, you need fuel. We need fuel in each and every life production line in this country. And Madam Speaker, what is shocking is that this uncaring government is remained mute. They have maintained a conspiracy of silence. They are not talking, and I just hope that the distinguished young senator nominated is not the government spokesman on the floor of this House telling us that there is a shortage of fuel in Tanzania, which is not true, and assuming it was, what has it got to do with Kenya? Madam Speaker, we have even been told untruths that the Ukraine war is affecting Kenya's fuel supply.
Senator, just 1 minute. We are going to take care of that interruption. Yes. Senator Ngugi, what is your point of intervention again?
Madam Speaker, you know Honorable Senator Moses Wetangula is my senior, and I actually call him my dad. But is he in order to mislead the nation that this government is so uncaring? Yet we know 23 hours ago, the President of the Republic of Kenya did sign the supplementary budget and a sum total of 34,444,813,000 from the supplementary budget has been allocated by the government to stabilize the cost of fuel in this republic. Therefore, it is completely wrong to assume that this government is uncaring, yet yesterday the president did sign that supplementary budget.
Madam Speaker, I don't want to believe that the newly nominated senator is a government spokesman on the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, under our standing orders, he has even not cited the authority that he's reading. He's reading on something that looks like a phone and pretending that he's giving me information or standing on a point of order. Madam Speaker, I want to say this, and you'll give me a little more time because I have much more to say, and since we are few, I should have that latitude. Madam Speaker, the government engaged oil marketeers and undertook to give them a subsidy. The amount of money owed to oil marketeers in this country, Madam Speaker, is in excess of 34 billion. This cumulation to 34 billion, what exactly happened? I'm tempted to believe what the senator from Murang'a is questioning. Is this the money that was used on a misadventure called BBI? Is this the money that is being used to fund politically correct activities in the country? Or is this money that has been outrightly stolen? Because the president himself is on record as saying in this country, his government loses to theft 2 billion shillings every day. That is from the president himself.
Senator Dulo,
it is not me saying it.
Yes, Senator Dulo.
Is my senior and friend, Senator Wetangula, in order to allege that the 34 billion is owed as a result of BBI or campaign? Let him provide evidence to that effect. I thank you. Because this is a house of record. Can you provide evidence? It's not guesswork, Senator Wetangula. Kindly provide evidence to that effect.
Madam Speaker, the distinguished senator for Isiolo, who is my dear good friend and learned junior, was not listening. I did not make a statement of fact. I asked questions. I said, is it that this is happening? And I said, I'm tempted to think that what the senator from Murang'a said is true, that this may be the case. That is not a statement of fact. That is a debating supposition. A debating supposition that you, if you have contrary issues, you can bring to the
Senator
floor.
Dulo,
if I can proceed, Madam
We're not
Speaker.
getting into argument back
Yes.
and forth, but okay, let's hear your point of order.
Senator Wetangula, You are saying that is not point of fact. You are misleading this country saying that. There's so many Kenyans who are ignorant out there. And the conclusion from your statement right now could be what you are saying is right. And this is House of Record. If you are actually giving us false evidence, or rather false statement, and you are saying maybe, you know, can you provide evidence? Then we can believe you that the money was actually taken to campaign or BBI. Don't mislead Kenyans, Senator Wetangula.
Senator Uchila yako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think the issue here, and that's why I'm raising on a point of order, is that Senator Wetangula is insinuating. It may not be that he's asserting, he's insinuating that the deficit, that the money that has not been available to be used to subsidize the fuel issues is likely to have been used in the BBI matter. And he is saying he is tempted to believe. So would I be in order to seek clarity from yourself, Madam Speaker, that it would be in order to make insinuations in this House? Because I am sure if that is allowed, we could also make some very serious insinuations, and we could degenerate into a disorderly House.
Senator Wetangula, I think it is
Speaker,
important. Let me just say something before you continue. I think it is important that, you know, we are at a very critical time in the politics in the country. At the same time, this the fuel problem is a very serious problem. So it would be very nice for us to say things that don't inflame the situation, but to help the situation.
Those who purport to speak for government on the floor of this House must tell the country, where did the subsidy money go? Why is it now resurfacing in a supplementary budget? This is money that ought to have been there. Why were oil dealers not paid the subsidy that was already there and budgeted for? Now we are coming to a supplementary to generate money to pay the oil companies. A further question, Madam Speaker. In a crisis of this nature, why hasn't His Excellency the President come up to address the nation and calm passions and anxiety? Why has he kept silent? We're seeing statements being released from junior officers in government. A crisis of this nature requires the President to come and address the nation and tell us where his government took the money, why they didn't pay the oil companies, and why he has plunged the country into a crisis. Because we're in a crisis, Madam Speaker. Yesterday, I passed through Kisumu to Bungoma. At Luanda Market, which you know, Madam Speaker, there were near riots in a small petrol station. I could see over 1,000 border riders struggling to get fuel. We went through Mumias, same thing. Bungoma, same thing. This morning as I was coming at 6 a.m., every petrol station was jammed with anxious border riders, matatu riders, long queues. This is not the Kenya we want to have. This is not the Kenya we should have. And a government that can reduce the country to this level of irresponsible leadership must be called to order, must be called to account. And I want to hear from my distinguished colleagues who are jumping up to defend an indefensible government, to tell this country, where did the money go? Why are we not? May I beg for some more?
Yes, let's.
5 minutes, Madam Speaker. 5.
I think we are good enough. We can do 5 minutes.
5. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Why are we in a crisis? And Madam Speaker, the most dangerous thing is not to have lack of fuel, but eventually to have lack of food if farmers cannot be enabled to produce food. You can imagine what hungry and angry Kenyans can turn to. And we want Kenyans to be told, including me, and we can understand, If there is a problem, we live in this country. We defend this country. We protect this country. But nobody is going to protect a government that is acting in such an irresponsible manner that even when people are going to near riots, everybody is dipping their heads in sand like ostriches. And people are suffering. Madam Speaker, I've asked questions on this floor before. DR Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, they import fuel through Kenya. From Mombasa, the cost of transportation, the cost of all the hazards of getting the product to their country. Today, Madam Speaker, you go to Goma in Congo, fuel is cheaper than in Kenya. And you want to say this is a government that cares for this country? It doesn't, Madam Speaker. And we are now told something incredibly false, that the war in Ukraine is affecting Kenya's economy. How? Kenya gets its fuel from UAE, Kenya gets oil from Saudi Arabia, Kenya gets oil at times from Qatar. We have no record of importing fuel from Ukraine, and Ukraine is not even a major fuel producer and exporter. So don't tell us that we have the effects of the Ukraine-Russian war, and that's why we have these fuel problems. How can a country like South Sudan not have the same problems? Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and here in Kenya, it is just because of greed, Madam Speaker. And I want to repeat that it is now the duty of those who speak for government, like my distinguished colleague from Isiolo, to tell us. In law, Madam Speaker, and you are a lawyer, we say, res ipsa loquitur, where things speak for themselves. Where did the money go? If the money is not there, the irresistible conclusion is that either it has been misapplied, misappropriated, or stolen. And that is the history of this country. Like I said, the president himself is on record. We lose 2 billion Kenya shillings daily to theft. I don't know who can stand up and defend that in this house, or even dispute that. And my colleagues on the other side of the floor know these things only too well. I would want to see my brother Ochila Yako, my very distinguished close friend, go to Migori and tell the people of Migori, who he wants to elect him as a governor, that these fuel shortages are all right in a country like Kenya, that the queues in petrol stations are all right because it is normal. I wish you well, my brother. I want you to be elected a governor. And I'll tell those who I know in your account to elect you, but maintain your sobriety. And when we see something wrong, we must be able to tell the king that he's naked instead of praising his suit when he has no suit. This is a naked government, and this government, if anything, we should pray quickly that 9th August is brought forward so that we can vote them to go home and we show them how to run the country. Because we, as Kenya Kwanza, are coming to save this country from this morass, from this irresponsibility, from this greed, from this theft, and from this uncaring behavior that doesn't know that Kenyans are suffering. Madam Fatuma, you can tell this house, how many patients are dying in ambulances because there's no fuel? Do we want to defend that? How many Kenyans? My time is up, I'm told. Madam Speaker, if this was a caring and democratic government, President Uhuru and his government should tender their resignation and leave leadership to those who can lead the country. That is where we are. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate do now adjourn. Senator Ochila Yako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to make my remarks. And for the records, my very good friend Wetangula told me to sober up. Madam Speaker, I don't drink anymore. I stopped that 3 years ago because my health couldn't take it anymore. You know, he drinks himself, but he's always sober. So for the records, I don't drink, I'm always sober. I want to thank my colleague for his best wishes to me that I should get elected, and I will equally want to give him best wishes. Madam Speaker, it is true, the President said that a lot of money is stolen every day, about 2 billion. He went further and attributed that theft to the coalition that Moses Wetangula belongs to. He said those who are in that coalition are the thieves. So if we are to quote the President as having said that money is lost every day, we should quote him fully, that the thieves belong to that coalition that it attributed that theft to. And if his statement is that of fact, then it is also a fact that those thieves are the ones who want him to resign at this very critical time when we want an orderly transition. We want everybody stationed where they are supposed to be. We want all of us to campaign soberly and then elect the person we think will take us through the crisis. So we do not want any resignation, including you, Madam Speaker. We don't want you to resign. If you resign, I do not know what will happen to us in this House. The fuel crisis is a serious crisis. 2 days ago, I left my house for a meeting. I didn't know I did not have a fuel in my vehicle, so I got stalled somewhere. I had to go back to my house in a boda to pick another vehicle. I found that did not have a fuel. A third one did not have a fuel. I nearly thought of walking to my meeting. I was late for that meeting by an hour. I'm just glad or fortunate that it was a meeting. It was not something life-threatening. I want to say that many Kenyans who are caught up in such a serious crisis must be suffering indeed. But this is not a matter to be politicized. All of us in this House and in the other House are responsible for the high fuel costs. We passed the bill which became a law that raised the fuel costs. We were persuaded that the passage of such bill was because we needed to raise more revenue. So we have done that, and we must take responsibility. And the leader of Kenya Kwanza said it was a good move and must equally take that responsibility. So we cannot come up at the very end of our tenure to attribute blame to a faction or a section of our society. We must take that blame and approach this fuel crisis, all of us. We know that provision for subsidies have always been provided in the budget, including many things. But do we get exchequer releases in time? I sit as a chair of the County Public Accounts and Investments Committee. All the counties never receive their monies in time. I do not know what happened in this one, but it would be important for this matter to be referred to the rightful committee to investigate it further and tell us the cause of this crisis and how we need to resolve it. Rather than trying to double speak because it's political time, because we want to sensationalize important issues, we should take this matter seriously and know that this is not a matter to blame others about. It is a matter that we all must approach soberly. And if we do not approach it soberly, we know that even in the US, President Joe Biden is having a crisis and has had to order more production of petroleum products so that prices are stabilized. And America is attributing that to Ukraine. So we must not cleverly and selectively cite information when it suits us. Let's be honest about this thing. It's a very serious crisis. When you see queues out there, the queues are there in Uganda, they are there in Tanzania, they are there everywhere. But as a nation, we must not spend time passing the buck, giving excuses. We need to encourage and put the government to task to try and fix it, but we do not need to politicize it and say it is BBI. That is a question that the Auditor General will find out. If it was BBI, if it was somebody else who diverted money, it will come out in an audit report. But to use the parliamentary privilege and platform to confuse people and to blame, I think that is a cheap shot. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Adan Dulo Fatuma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I thank Senator Kangata having brought this statement, although he's in slumberland right now, dreaming in the middle of somewhere. Madam Speaker, I think the issue of fuel crisis is a very serious crisis in the country, and we all feel it. Madam Speaker, all the challenges that have been mentioned here by our colleagues, it's true. But I think it is really, really wrong for people just to stand here and accuse individuals. And I think it is important also for this statement to have gone to a relevant committee for investigation. When we have proper evidence, you can come and speak on the floor of the House, accusing the government to have actually allocated the money for BBI and also for campaign. Instead of all that, this matter should have been referred to the committee so that we have proper facts and evidences as far as the crises are concerned. Number two, you cannot just wake up and say so and so should resign. We must have evidence or justification why individuals should resign. And there are individuals in this country who are trying to get mileage out of small crises that we have in this country, thinking they are not part of the government when they are actually on top of this government, earning salary, enjoying privileges. And I'm telling you, for those who are waiting for Uhuru Kenyatta to resign, he will not resign. Secondly, he's not a small boy to be running around issuing statements whenever crises are. There are ministers, there are permanent secretaries who should provide those evidences and also give facts. Finally, Madam Speaker, if people feel that by actually criminalizing or actually accusing this government to get platform to be elected, you are wrong. I'm telling you, you will wait and wait. You will not see the light of the day that you will be elected as a result of confusing Kenyans in this country. Facts will come out. People will know who is right and who is wrong. So give Kenyans facts and come up with a solution. Then we can be able to solve the problem as a country. I thank you.
Yes, what's your point of order?
In order, and I would expected even the House to call the distinguished deputy leader of majority to order. The majority leader is not in the House. One would expect that the deputy majority leader, who is the de facto, in fact de jure, deputy leader of government business, to make a statement on behalf of government on the issue of fuel crisis in the country. What we have heard, Madam Speaker, is very gibberish talk that does not amount to a government either giving an explanation or defending its position or convincing Kenyans that the genesis of this crisis is this is where we are, these are the steps we are taking to resolve it. Because apart from acknowledging that there's a crisis, Madam Speaker, the leader of government in the House has absolutely said nothing about this crisis. And if the leadership of government can treat this House like this, Madam Speaker, then this country is in a serious crisis. I'm on a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Finish, then I'll give
and secondly, Madam Speaker, the leader of government business in the House cannot question your ability and your rationality to approve a motion of adjournment because this motion is approved from your chair. So she cannot then come and tell you that you should have sent this motion to a committee to investigate. You saw that there's a crisis. You looked at the motion, the standing order under which it came, and so it fit that leaders in this house as representatives of the people who are suffering out there have a duty and must be given an opportunity to ventilate. The government may resign, may not resign, it's up to them. They'll wrestle with their conscience. But the country expects responses that are rational, that are reasonable, that are factual, that help Kenyans understand, including my brother, the move of the motion, why we have this crisis and for how long it will persist. Madam Speaker, no such thing has come from the lead of government business. And this is a very sorry state of affairs in a house of reason, in a house of wise people, in a house that is different from the other house.
Yes, Senator Dulo, your point of order.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I gave that statement simply responding to Senator Wetangula. He is the one who has politicized the issue of fuel crisis. Number two, there is a very senior government official who has already given a statement as far as fuel is concerned. And I actually gave an opinion that the House can investigate on this matter and provide proper evidence to the issues raised. So he cannot stand here and say that whatever I'm saying is gibbish, you know? Madam Speaker, I have a right to speak. I am also a politician. I can defend my position. If he politicizes, I will also politicize. It doesn't mean that government cannot also politicize the statements that are brought on the floor of the House, accusing fingers to individuals. I thank you.
Yeah, Honorable Senator Wetangula, I think when Senator Dulo said that it should be referred, I think she meant after this discussion, it can be referred to a committee to look into it for further information. That is how I got it. I don't know if that's what Dulo meant. But however, let's continue. Senator Gertrude Osorobbe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my thoughts to this motion. And indeed, the issue of fuel prices is an issue of great concern to everyone in this country, and especially when we see that things have come to a halt, things have come to a stop, and it is like everything is even going slow in terms of traders, in terms of business, and all that. There's need to actually investigate what exactly is happening and why it is a crisis, because it has even made traders and even petroleum marketers hoard petroleum simply because they are taking advantage of the opportunity, and they're even flouting the IPRA Act of 2019 that actually said when it comes to prices, then there's a recommended price by IPRA. Any price beyond that attracts a fine. But you'll see that at the moment, business people are taking advantage of the situation. But I'm also grateful to the government for the intervention of the 8.2 billion, because it has actually started making things to sober up. And I'm sure with this intervention, as the government continues to intervene, and I thank the President for this intervention, and I'm hoping that by end of the week, things will have normalized. But it should not happen in such a situation where we have a crisis in petroleum, because petroleum actually acts as a catalyst in very many things. And I also want to comment on the issue of colleagues who are trying to politicize this issue of petroleum. It should not be politicized, because BBI has nothing to do with the petroleum. And this is a house of reason. This is a house where we actually look at things in a logical manner, in a sober manner. So the issue of politics should not be brought in here. I support that, and I hope that eventually the ruling that will be made the committee that will be looking into this issue will look into the in-depth of why the crisis, and the Auditor General has a role, even constitutionally. The Auditor General also can come on board to investigate and see why is the crisis there, so that if there is any issue that needs to be averted, it should be averted in good time. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Those are my noble thoughts.
Senator Faria. Haji Mohammed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, we all sympathize with Kenyans in terms of the fuel crisis, but I think this has also brought another dimension. There were people who are using platforms saying that the fuel prices, the food prices was because of the government problem. Now, from their own statement, it has come very clearly that if government was not subsidizing Kenyans, then the food prices, all the other prices would have gone higher. As we are aware, food prices and every other price in any economy is impacted by fuel, because this country is dependent on fuel, and the economy in terms of transport, in terms of farming, in terms of everything that goes on. And we are aware that from last year, fuel being $64 per barrel, now it's going today at 107. So something that was an external influence, there are people who are perpetrating lies that the fuel prices, all the food prices, is because government was doing nothing. But for from their own statement yesterday, we saw that they have admitted that the fuel prices is because government has delayed in giving subsidy. So now I want Kenyans to know that the situation would have been worse if government had not come in to subsidize the fuel prices. So that at least has come out clearly. So I think people need to take a stand. It's either this or that. You can't be lying to Kenyans today saying this, and then the following day, because it's convenient for you, you'll talk about the same thing. Let's be consistent, for heaven's sake, because Kenyans also are not foolish. They can see through lies, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the other thing that I wanted to come to fore is that we are aware that in the world,
Senator,
there is a conflict.
You have an intervention?
And keep my time.
Yeah, you will get your time.
Is it in order for the distinguished majority whip to continue using unparliamentary language and talking about lying? That is not parliamentary language. And secondly, Madam Speaker, subsidies are not a government gift. It is budgeted for. And when it is not put to its proper use, we have the right to question where the money for subsidies have gone. And this money is missing because it either has been misapplied, misappropriated, or stolen.
Senator Faria, you can wind up. Can you give her the mic?
Madam Speaker, the problem was people are saying that the fuel crisis and the hike of fuel is as a result of the government, but refusing to acknowledge that it is a global crisis to do with the Ukraine crisis and Russia crisis. That is what is causing the fuel to hike. It has nothing to do with and the government is trying to help by providing subsidy. The reason why the subsidy was not forthcoming is because there was no allocation, enough allocation, because the prices have even gone higher. And it is Parliament to pass those increments in terms of the subsidy. So that is why, that is the reason why the delay. And after the president had signed the supplementary budget that was increasing the subsidy, then we are seeing even some petrol stations already have fuel. So my concern, Madam Speaker, is the fact that, you know, people who have, we need to trust leaders in this country. They cannot say, that it is the fault of the government, while we know very well the fuel and oil and gas prices have gone up because of the Ukrainian problems, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, my question is, let us be consistent. Even when we lie, let's be consistent. Let us not lie about one thing, and then next time, let us not also, I am not talking about even statement in this house. I am talking about statements outside of this house as well, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, my problem is people talking untruth about issues while we should be addressing the truth and the matter of facts, and facts, nothing but the facts. Not telling us one thing and then telling us, or in fact, the government was helping, but the help is the one that delayed. And in the other time, you were saying it is the fault of the government that the prices are going up every other day. So at least Kenyans have seen through to people who is lying, who is telling the truth, they have seen. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Matsayo Stewart.
Asante Speaker. Speaker, pia mimi nataka kumpa kongole Senator Kang'ata, Senator mchapakazi kutoka Murang'a, kwa kuleta hii hoja hapa ndani ya bunge. Speaker, Kang'ata sengine hucheka tu, hata jambo la kuchekesha yeye hucheka tu. Sijui ni binadamu aina gani, lakini nafikiria kwa sababu hiyo watu wa Murang'a wakampenda sana. Speaker, swala hili la kwa nini Kenya haina petroli si swala la kulaumu mtu mmoja. Kang'ata katika uwezo wake amekuwa akiongea hapa ndani ya bunge, hususan akimlaumu rais zaidi na serikali yake. Lakini mimi nashangaa sana sasa siku hizi amekuwa kama kinyonga. Kinyonga ugeuka rangi. Yeye wakati ule alikuwa anapiga siasa hapa, hatujaona mtu aliyekuwa akisifu rais ndani ya hili bunge kushinda Kang'ata. Leo Kang'ata amepinduka, amekuwa kinyonga sasa, amekuja katika rangi ya kumtukana na kumpiga rais kwa maneno ambayo hayafai, na lazima afanye heshima, kwa sababu hata kule kwao nyumbani anakotoka, ukiwa wewe umezidi mtu na umri, hata kama mmekosana, unaweza kusema mambo utakayosema, lakini lazima uweke mpaka kama heshima wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Ndio sababu kule wako na jina wanaita Mutongoria. Sasa kama yeye hawezi kuheshimu Mutongoria kutoka kwao, je, watu wengine katika Kenya watafanya namna gani? Speaker, ni ukweli kabisa kwamba katika Kenya sasa tunapata mafuta ama petroli imekuwa haipatikani. Hii imesababishwa kwa sababu ya ufisadi. Na ufisadi lazima uangaliwe vizuri. Manake kwa sababu kama ni ugonjwa umeingia, kama ni COVID, kila mtu hapa anajikinga. Na kwa sababu hivi ni vita pia. Ni vita vya ufisadi. Ndani ya serikali kuna watu ambao wametufikisha katika hii level, ambao sasa sisi hatuwezi kukubali tena. Ikiwa wewe ni mwizi, ikiwa wewe ni mtu ambaye unafanya vitu ambavyo havifai, na kila mtu katika Kenya anavikemea ya kwamba wewe umetuleta mpaka tumefika saizi hii, basi pia mimi nasema hata ikiwa sisi tuko hapa kama wa Kenya, sote tukiwa tunaumia na baa la njaa, tunaumia na ugonjwa wa aina fulani, na umeletwa maradhi haya yameletwa na ufisadi, basi afadhali kule nyumbani tunasema mganga ambaye anatibu jipu, wakati akiwa anakutibu unaumia, lakini wakati hilo jipu limepoa, ametoa ule moyo, unaona ya kwamba kila mtu anastarehe na anashukuru kwa sababu mganga amefanya kazi yake. Speaker, ni sababu hii nasema ya kwamba rais ni lazima achukue kiboko sasa. Kama kuna waziri, kama kuna katibu wa kudumu ambaye ameweza kuleta hii serikali, ama ameweza kuleta hii nchi kwa hali ambayo tuko sasa, ni lazima hatua ichukuliwe. Nataka kuona rais akichukua kiboko, akichapa wale watu wote ambao wanahusikana na mambo ya ufisadi. Mr. Speaker, tunajua katika utengenezaji chakula, kama mtatengeza mafuta, wale wapandaji mahindi ambao ni wakulima, kama ni pande ya usafiri, watu wanakwenda kazini, kama ni mambo ya hospitali zingine hazina, kuna hospitali ambazo ziko katika maeneo ambayo hayana stima na yanatumia generator, na generator pia inatumia diesel. Kuna wagonjwa kule ambao wanategemea ile hewa ya oxygen kupitishwa kutoka kwa ile ambayo itatumika katika generator ili kuweze kupump watu waendelee kuwa na maisha mema. Lakini Mr. Speaker, tunaona ya kwamba ikiwa vitu kama hivi haviwezi kufanyikana, wakulima hawawezi kwenda shambani na matingatinga yao. Ikiwa saa hizi watu ndani ya hospitali watakufa kwa sababu katika zile hospitali ambazo generator haifanyi kazi kwa sababu hakuna petroli. Ikiwa saa hizi watu hawawezi kusafiri, watu wanafanya kazi mbali. Mtu hawezi kutoka asubuhi, hakuna matatu, ataenda namna gani mpaka kazini? Akichelewa atafutwa kazi, asipokwenda ndio balaa zaidi. Sasa tunasema ya kwamba Mr. Speaker, jambo kama hii ni janga sasa. Lazima rais aangalie na achukue hatua. Mambo ya kulaumiana namna hii namna ile kwamba rais afanye hivi, rais afanye vile, tungeweka nyuma kwanza. Tuangalie hili janga kwanza mpaka liweze kupika, tuliweke nyuma. Mr. Speaker, nataka kukubali na sababu zote ambazo zimepeanwa, lakini sababu za kwamba hakuna petroli ndani ya nchi hii, kama ni mtihani, ningesema Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ameanguka mtihani, kwa sababu alizotupatia sisi kwa nini hakuna petroli hazifui dafu hata kidogo. Kwa hiyo tunasema ya kwamba ni ukweli anakumbwa ama amezungukwa na watu ambao ni wezi, anakumbwa ama amezungukwa na watu ambao hawafai katika yale mamlaka. Ni lazima achukue hatua. La mwisho, Mr. Speaker, nipatie kama dakika yule kiongozi umempatia dakika 5, mimi naomba nipate dakika 3.
Yeah, but please
Mr. Speaker, nipatie, naomba kwa hisani yako.
Yeah, I've given you, but what I'm saying is let's be sensitive because there's a lot of interest on this matter.
Asante. Mr. Speaker, jana nilikuwa katika safari yangu ya kutoka mashinani nikija huku, na ni ukweli kabisa. Nataka kusema ya kwamba ni ukweli kabisa alivyosema ndugu yangu Wetangula, ya kwamba katika kila vitongoji ambavyo wanauza petroli, wananchi wa bodaboda wamejaa kwanza na majonzi ya kwamba hakuna petroli. Kitu cha pili, wamejaa kwa sababu wale mabodaboda wanakula kila siku kulingana na ile pikipiki. Wenye pikipiki wanasema ya kwamba hawataki kuchukua kitu kidogo kuliko kile wanachukua kila siku. Kwa hiyo ukiwa wewe umekodisha pikipiki ufanyie kazi, ni umpatie yule mtu ile pesa ambayo inatakana kwa ile pikipiki kwa siku moja. La sasa hizi tunapata kwamba bodaboda wenyewe sasa hata kupeleka watu sasa haiwezekani. Umaskini umekithiri ndani ya nyumba za watu kama mabodaboda. Umekithiri katika mama mboga. Umekithiri katika kila sehemu za sekta ambayo ni za uchumi. Sisi tunasema kwamba katika ile hali ambayo iko hivi sasa, ni bora sasa tufika katika kikomo. Mr. Speaker, tunasema ya kwamba rais hivi sasa si lazima ya kwamba sote tupige kelele ya kwamba jiondoe katika mamlaka, lakini tunasema tu kitu kimoja: rais ni lazima achukue hatua muafaka ambayo itakuwa suluhisho na wala itakuwa ni onyo kwa wale ambao wana tabia zile wanafanya katika ofisi mpaka wamefikisha milioni 40 ya Wakenya pale tuko hivi sasa. Asante Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Abshiro Alake.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice onto the debate, or is it the blame game of fuel shortage? As I sat here and listened, I wondered what happened to the mentality of getting solutions as opposed to the mentality of pointing fingers and becoming a hero for the moment. be it, because I've heard the government being blamed, I've heard Kenyans being blamed for panic buying, I've heard hoarders or oil marketing companies being blamed, I've heard the media, everybody has been blamed. But who in this house, as a leader, has looked at the solution? Who cares? In the meantime, people are bleeding, the price of everything, of essential goods and services have escalated, but here we are, trying to get airtime, trying to look really like, I don't even know what it is, but blaming, pointing fingers, politicizing, I don't know, campaigning, whatever it is. But who is even thinking, where is the problem and how can we solve this problem so that today a child in Isiolo can actually eat something or move to much needed hospital in somewhere else, or who is thinking that? So as I sit here, I'm actually appalled and I'm actually saddened that we haven't even said for a moment, where is the problem? How do we as a house of holding people accountable going to do this? We've all jumped onto blame gaming, finger pointing, and campaigning on the blood of the children of this country and playing politics with the future of this country, Mr. Speaker. I know it's political season. I know it's just in the eve of 2022 general elections, but that doesn't excuse us as leaders to just play politics at every opportunity without even a care as to where the problem is and giving one single solution. I've sat here thinking that I'm listening to very seasoned leaders, thinking that I'm listening to sons and daughters of this country that are leading bleeding children, that are leading a bleeding economy, that are leading a bleeding nation, to just look at the solution for one. Everybody blamed, shamed, and sat down. Shame on us, and shame on all of the people that have spoken, because not one single person said, how can we as leaders get to the bottom of this issue and help our country out of this quagmire? Madam Speaker, I think we politicians take the biggest blame and biggest responsibility for the mess in this country. The corruption that causes these queues, the lack of oversight that causes these things, the budgeted corruption that ends up not giving the right thing, the right money in the right places, is to blame for these things. And who is presiding over these things? Ourselves as politicians. Shame on us. If today we use this privilege to just campaign, if today we use this privilege to say the right things for the people that we are going to ask for favors from, be it our political leaders, be it whoever it is, shame on us. And I hope the electorate can see through that nonsense and send home all these kinds of people that do not give a damn or do not care about the children of this country and play politics at every juncture to just get really cheap political mileage out of these things. I'm not going to say who is, because I don't know, but in my language they say asking what is the problem is actually solving the problem. But nobody has asked what the problem is. Everybody has jumped into the president, the Kenyans, whoever else that is to be blamed. So where is the solution? The solution is this, is in sending home all these cheap talkers so that we look and bring in people who will have a mindset of problem solution and not a mindset of playing with the politics and playing politics with the future of our children. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Lokorio Petronila Were.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to contribute to this motion by Senator Kangata on the fuel crisis. And Mr. Speaker, I don't know what we are going to do in this House in the coming months, because we are really focused on the campaign and the campaign agenda. So therefore, everything we are going to say in this House we most definitely switch to politics, because that is the season we are in. And it will be difficult to differentiate because we are in a campaign mode and a campaign mood. Since we cannot break the house and we must come here and discuss these issues, we'll have to bear with each other. Without calling each other names, we debate.
Honorable Senators, Senator Kangata, I think this is of interest to you. And you are really not taking any attention, keen attention. Senator
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your protection. So we need to debate soberly and really focus on the issues. Madam Speaker, it's important that as we discuss this, we know where does the buck stop, really. If there is a crisis, there we had the COVID-19 crisis. The fuel crisis is similar. It is global, just like COVID was. Who takes the final responsibility? It is the President of Kenya. So when the rest of us who are bringing this issue that the President needs to take responsibility, we are saying that because we know the buck stops with him. When he told us that there's corruption and that we lose 2 billion per day, we needed him to tell us what is he doing as the President with all the constitutional power and to deal with his cabinet and everybody else to deal with the issue of losing 2 billion per day. We have never received an answer to date. Madam Speaker, back to the fuel crisis that is global. Madam Speaker, as I have said, even COVID was global, but governments responded differently to cushion their people. We wanted to know what this government is doing with this fuel crisis to cushion the people. Now, the President finally issued subsidies of 34 billion to cushion the people, but people had already suffered. Why wasn't this done earlier? I'm sure in his power or the constitutional power, there are areas he would have touched without waiting for a parliamentary law that he would have used to make sure that Kenyans are cushioned from this crisis. We are looking at his legacy as well. He has 4 months in the office. Is this what he wants Kenyans to remember him for? Lining up for fuel, pushing each other. The other day there was a clip where people were celebrating for a truck that had entered a petrol station for fuel. It means that people had suffered for so long. And Madam Speaker, blaming the Ukraine or Russian war as the leader of government, Business in the House was telling us, is really an escapist route. And it is a manifestation of a government that is incompetent. And as Senator Wetangula said, we need a government that listens to the people. Trying to blame the Ukraine-Russian war is running away from reality. And Madam Speaker, I want to bring in the issue of fertilizer as well, because you cannot really separate them. Fuel is also used for planting and harrowing and so on, especially in the large-scale farms. The issue of fertilizer subsidy. For example, they have now said they will subsidize and the farmers are allowed only 20 bags of fertilizer to registered farmers. Now, when you talk about registered farmers only, Madam Speaker, that will be eligible to get this, and a majority of Kenyan farmers are subsistent farmers, is the government really in touch with the ordinary Kenyan? And that is where the majority of the people are. The people at the bottom that we are seeking to bring up in Kenya Kwanza. Because we have seen that the government now does not have feelings for the ordinary Kenyan. When you say you'll only deal with registered farmers, and registered farmers are only those who supply to NCPB. We need fertilizer for many other things other than just the grains that NCPB calls for. Madam Speaker, still on the fuel crisis, KPC, which is Kenya Pipeline, released a statement saying their depots are full of fuel. At that point, would have expected the CS to call a meeting and issue some orders to the marketers or to the people who deal with fuel at the pump. Because if there's fuel at the depots, there's an issue with distribution. Who takes charge? Who takes responsibility? Those are the reactions we expected. We cannot say that the solution to the issue of crisis lies elsewhere. It lies with government. The buying, the distribution, the cartels that the government is talking about in this sector. The Energy Committee has been dealing with this issue, and they also need to come out and tell us what is the problem really in the fuel sector. If it is cartels, who is responsible? And it is sad, Madam Speaker, that there are people who are saying they want to fuata nyayo, as the Swahilis will say, that they want to fuata nyayo or follow the footsteps of this government in coming back to ruin us. So I'm sad that there are people who think we are doing well and they want us to continue the way we are. Madam Speaker, I condemn this issue, and I'm hoping that the government has learned or taken some lessons that this crisis will not repeat itself. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Mugeni Eric Okongo.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me a chance to make my contribution to this motion. First, Madam Speaker, I want to be on record and empathize with the many Kenyans who have faced a lot of difficulties in the past 3 days because of the shortage of fuel in our pump stations. I empathize with the Kenyans, and as lawmakers, we're here to remind the government that we need a timed solution to this crisis. But, Madam Speaker, the problem that this country is facing, Mr. Speaker, is having people in government who want to behave like they are in opposition. Madam Speaker, just this afternoon, I've seen an update of a press release where our loving Deputy President, William Ruto, was issuing a statement with governors from Karen as the chair of IBEC. And they are discussing with the governors how they can find solutions to a number of problems facing governors on disbursement of money, which is a good thing. But the problem I have, Madam Speaker, is that tomorrow you are going to find William Ruto, our Deputy President, in Murang'a, shouting from a political campaign rally that he does not know how the government is going to solve the fuel crisis. It's a shame, Madam Speaker. Today he is in Karen as a Deputy President chairing IBEC. Tomorrow he'll be in a rally saying I'm a member of opposition, blaming government. We cannot solve solutions that way. And I'm actually scared, Madam Speaker. What will happen to this country if tomorrow William Ruto becomes the president of this country? Is he going to start demonstrating with wananchi when we have problems? We expect the Deputy President to be part of the solution, Madam Speaker. You have heard somebody has talked about subsidy, fertilizer subsidy. I saw the Deputy President speaking about the plight of farmers the other day. Today he should be speaking as government and saying, I've met governors, fertilizer has been taken to National Cereal Produce Board headquarters. In Nyamira, the fertilizer is in Nyansiongo. I expect William Ruto, our Deputy President, to discuss with the governors as part of government and tell them they should give transport so that this fertilizer can be supplied close to the farmers. But I was shocked. He's the one who stands up and saying, oh, I'm sorry, we are not getting solutions for farmers, fertilizer. Madam Speaker, how can you behave that way from within government? How can you become Mr. Blame Game and you are a Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya? How can you be a Deputy President whose business day in is to cry from morning to evening? It's a shame, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, you know, at times, if you get a job that you think is so heavy for you, if you think you can't run, you cannot be a deputy to the President of the Republic, as provided for in Article 147 of our Constitution, you should resign, Madam Speaker. Or if you want to start practicing earlier, you become a member of the opposition, tell us, Madam Speaker, because we want to see a solution. The way Minister for Agriculture, Munya, has worked his way out and come up with a subsidy to help our farmers, to reduce the price of fertilizer to 2,600. Those are the solutions we want to see from our Deputy President. But not just shouting, Madam Speaker. It looks so bad, Madam Speaker. So I hope, Madam Speaker, as we proceed, the government, and I'm talking about the President, his deputy and cabinet ministers, will meet and discuss the logistical challenges that we are facing as a country, so that this money that is owed to marketeers can be supplied, can be paid out quickly. The 30 billion, Madam Speaker, we do a mop-up of money from various areas. We get money pay out these guys so that we can see fuel, enough supply of fuel in our to our petrol stations. Madam Speaker, we also need to find a solution of dealing with the unscrupulous business people who are hoarding fuel in the hope that the price will keep on going high so that they make a kill. This idea of saying we have a liberal market does not mean that we behave in a manner that only puts our profit interests at heart, but not the concerns of the poor mwananchi. I thank Senator Kangata for doing this. You know, I like Kangata is a bright person. Somebody else would have gone to issue a statement from his residence, but he has come to the floor of the House so that we discuss this issue and get a solution. Madam Speaker, even if you issue so many statements from your official residence somewhere, you'll never get a solution. But when you bring this issue to the floor, we discuss as elected representatives of the people, and we can propose solutions to the government. I want to congratulate you, Senator Kangata, incoming governor of Murang'a, and if you get some other friends, you whisper to them how they should do things in a tidy manner. I support, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wario Goli Juma.
Asante sana, Madam Speaker, kwa kunipatia nafasi. Madam Speaker, watu wa Kenya wamepitia majangwa mengi, ikiwemo jangwa ya corona. Pia tulipitia ukame mrefu katika Kenya hii. Na siku ya leo tuko katika jangwa ya kukosa petroli ama uhaba wa petroli katika nchi hii. Madam Speaker, mimi hivi majuzi nilisafiri na nilikuwa kati ya wale ambao walikuwa katika mstari mrefu ya kungojea mafuta. Wale walioathirika zaidi ni sekta ya bodaboda katika sehemu ile mimi nimetoka, mpaka vile nimetembea nikakuja hapa. Madam Speaker, kwa kweli hoja hili limefika wakati mwafaka kabisa. Senator Kangata alileta hii hoja wakati ambao ni wakati unafaa, sababu jangwa hilo mpaka saa hii tunaendelea nayo. Na Madam Speaker, kama ungekuwa umetembea jana na juzi katika sehemu ya Nairobi, ukifika katika petrol station unaweza pata 1,000 pekee uwekewe kwa gari, sababu wanatengeneza hiyo ili watu wengi wapate mafuta. Madam Speaker, hakuna haja ya kumlaumu rais wa nchi hii, sababu rais aliinua kichwa na akaangalia, akajua kweli wakati huu ni wakati ambao mambo yote ya lawama inamwangukia yeye. Na siwezi sita kusema yeye amezingirwa na watu ambao wanamvuta nyuma, na ni lazima tuseme tukiwa katika seneti, sababu kama wezi wamekuzingira, kweli wezi wamekuzingira, na wewe ni utoke nje useme lawama zote zinaniangukia mimi, wacha nifanye kazi niweze kuepukana na hii balaa. Na hasa wakati huu ambao sasa hivi tunaongea, ni vizuri kabisa kuangalia jinsi shida hii isirudi tena. Kwa kweli nimeona amesign bilioni 34 ya kuweza kupata petroli kwa urahisi. Sisi tumetoka sehemu ambayo ni sehemu haijaendelea, na mahali nyingi ni generator zinatumika, na generator inatumia mafuta. Hebu angalia kama hospitali yako inatumia generator na leo mafuta ikosekane, basi kutakuwa na jangwa kubwa zaidi, sababu hata operation haiwezi ikafanywa sababu hakuna mafuta. Na sehemu zingine pia ambazo sisi tunatoka, hata watu wa stima pia wanatumia stima ya mafuta. Kwa hivyo hiyo imefanya hali idorore kabisa, na Wakenya katika sehemu hizo wanakuwa na bahati mbaya. Kwa hivyo Madam Speaker, mimi ninamuunga mkono kabisa Senator Kangata, na pia nampatia kongole kwa kuleta hoja hii kwa wakati ambao unafaa, Asante kwa kunipatia nafasi.
Minority Leader, Senator James Orengo.
Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me this chance. I was not here when this motion was being moved, a motion to discuss a matter of urgent national importance. And I have the privilege at least to listen to one or two speeches, including the speech of Honorable Senator Abishiro on my way here. Madam Speaker, everybody knows that there's a crisis about fuel in the country, and that nobody can deny. And I think the sooner we get a solution to it, the better. And there are signs that the government has taken certain measures where it can to try and resolve the issue. My contribution really is on the basis that I would have suggested to Senator Kangata that instead of bringing this matter under a motion as a matter of urgent national importance, probably he should have directed.
Senator Kangata, are you listening to what Minority Leader is saying?
Yes, I'm giving him a very good suggestion. While I agree with him that this matter is urgent and is of national importance, but I would have suggested to him probably to ask the Speaker on a request for a statement so that the agencies of government would come here before the Senate or the relevant committee, and the Speaker can direct, if it is a matter of some urgency in which a solution is required, that the relevant committee and the House deliberate on the matter in terms of making decisions. You know, I have always talked about Senate, more particularly, that we tend to lament. We are a house of lamentations. We are not a house of solutions. And when we bring a motion of this nature, where we just talk and go away, it is just lamentation. We are not better than somebody holding a bunge la wananchi. You know, there are bunges of la wananchi everywhere in the Republic, and whenever there is even public participation in this House, you'd find members of bunge la wananchi all over, even in my own county, in my own ward. There's a bunge la wananchi, and I respect what they say. And yesterday had such a session. Now, if the relevant government agencies would have come before the House, we would then be able to make a resolution, actionable resolution. But at the end of the day, you are like a lawyer who has lost a case in court, and Honorable Kangata has been in court many times, and you've been paid a fat fee, and your client has been convicted. When he asks you, what do we do? And then you say, we shall appeal. Now, I think we find ourselves in such kind of situation. But the thing that must be said before this House without fear is that elements within government who are now preaching to government should go back and watch out how to do their job properly. And I heard what Senator for Nyamira was saying. You know, you cannot have a country in which the Deputy President in the Republic of Kenya, in that high office, with the executive powers, there are powers which are allocated to that office that are outside the powers of the President, direct, including powers in IBEC. He's the only person under the law that is required to chair that institution. But now, if for 4 years you are just talking about yourself, in fact, he's not even talking about how to make Kenya great, it's just about himself throughout, how he needs to be president. It's like, you know, somebody talking about going to heaven without going to church. I think this should change. This should change. But I'm glad that the signs are there written on the wall, that that particular individual will never be the president of the Republic of Kenya. It is written down. There's a time when I had doubts, but now I have no doubts. No doubts at all. And I've made many predictions before, which have come right. But this one, I am sure as the sun rises in the morning, that he shall never be the president of the Republic of Kenya. Because those who serve the country must offer solutions. Those who choose to be part of government, me, I chose not to be part of government. But you have chosen to be part of government and be deputy president, and you are required to be a principal. Madam Speaker, just 2 minutes only. Yeah, I thought.
Yes,
I think I deserve.
granted. That's 2 minutes is granted.
Somebody has taken an oath. Me, I've never taken an oath. If I criticize President Uhuru, I have no problem. There's no constitutional problem. But here is somebody who has taken an oath under the Constitution to be the principal assistant to the President of the Republic of Kenya. Nobody else has those powers under the Constitution. And then he sends poor Kangata here, who otherwise should be campaigning to be governor, to make this statement, which has no end or no beginning. And then
Takangata, you know you need to, you should switch the intervention, not to shout. Just go back. I've not given you the opportunity. Just go back, sit down, and intervention, there is a button for that. Una card? Okay. Okay, granted.
Madam Speaker, is the minority leader in order to insinuate I've been sent by somebody to come and bring this motion, which seems to suggest he is not caring for the poor boda in Ugenya. He is not caring for the poor person in Kisumu. He is not caring for the millions of Kenyans. Mr. Speaker,
please be on
the minority leader should be telling us about where they took the BBI money. BBI money that was
Senator Kangata, your point is
subsidy
money. Your point is taken, Senator Kangata.
You know,
that's not a point of order.
Senator Kangata, I trained you, but somewhere you lost the path. And
Senator Minority Leader, I'm sorry to interrupt you again. Senator Mugeni.
Madam Speaker, you have heard Senator from Murang'a making very, very serious allegations against the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I've heard Senator Kangata, who is a lawyer and a former teacher of many law students, challenging the minority leader to explain where he took the BBI money. Madam Speaker, can he substantiate to the floor which money he's talking about, and what does he mean when he says that the minority leader took some BBI money, and he wants him to explain where he took the money? And if he can't, can he withdraw those remarks, Madam Speaker?
Senator Kangata.
Madam Speaker, I rose on a point of order. To the best of my knowledge, another point of order cannot be raised as against another point of order. So allow me to restrict my issues to the minority leader. He needs to give me an explanation where he seems to suggest I've been sent by someone. I have not been sent by somebody like another government official to bring this statement. It has been motivated by the millions of Kenyans who are suffering as a result of this fuel crisis. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I think now that's much better. Senator Minority Leader.
Yeah, I take that as an answer from an honorable member that he was not sent. But, you know, I'm looking at it in the context that he was one time the chief whip of the majority side. And certainly by his conduct at that time, My conclusion is that he was sent that time and has been sent this time. But having said that, Madam Speaker, the serious point is that when institutions work, governments work, the institutions within government, and all I'm saying that part of the dysfunction in government now is because of the conduct of the Deputy President. Because, you know, he is the principal assistant. He can raise that matter in cabinet where we don't sit. He can raise it in those councils.
Senator Lokorio, you have a point of order.
Madam Speaker, I think standing orders allow that, because we are talking too much about the DP. Let those who are opposed to him bring a substantive motion here so that we discuss him. Because every person rising is just talking about
that one
DP.
is not allowed. That's not allowed. Minority leader, please continue.
Let me conclude by saying this. Let me conclude with this. You know, we know who requires, if he's a member of the House. The Deputy President is not a member of the House and is not the President. The starting orders are very clear. But what again agitated me to say what I'm saying is the contribution by somebody I really respect, Senator Moses Wetangula, added with a comment by the Honorable Senator from Muranga that they were calling for the President's resignation. You know, Senator Wetangula, and I say with a lot of respect, when it was possible, him sitting with the President, with Honorable Kalonzo, H.E. Kalonzo, and Raila Amolo Odinga, when there was a possibility that he may be the candidate, all was well with government. But now that that is not happening, he is taking the advantage, you know, to hit back at the government, and I think that is not right. There is a way of doing things, and I think a statement to the relevant committee should have resolved this issue. And let it not be doubted that all of us speak for the people in this House, all of us. And this fuel crisis, I am sure, with the leader of the majority, together with the general, don't ask me who the general is, we are going to sit down and bring an appropriate instrument before the House to discuss this matter with some finality. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Matsitsa Naomi Shionga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on the motion brought by Senator Kangata. Madam Speaker, I want to say that Kenya, like any other country in the world, greatly depend on the fuel. And it all depends on the supply or the demand of the quantity of the fuel that this commodity is needed in the country. Madam Speaker, I want to say that Senator Kangata, it's good and it's good time. You did the well timing of this because this is indeed a crisis in the country. And I want to congratulate you again because you didn't take this one into written, a letter to the President, probably wanting to get what it is. But you brought it in this House so that legislators like us can discuss on it and find a lasting solution for Kenyans when it comes to this particular challenge that Kenya is facing now. Madam Speaker, it is usually such challenges or such a challenge in the country. It's just like COVID when it came. And it's usually affected or accompanied by traumatic effects, especially the effect that the fuel crisis has brought in the government or is doing to the citizens of Kenya. Madam Speaker, I was coming from my rural area to Nairobi, and I saw lines, rows, columns of people queuing to the petrol station. This shows clearly that we have a problem, and this problem needs to be solved by us and not bring blame game in this House, because we shall not be finding any solution for anybody. Me personally, I've been affected because I can't fuel my vehicles. What about any other Kenyan probably who cannot even, who is depending on other means of transport to move from one place to another? And this one goes a long way. Madam Speaker, affecting the porta sector, which carries majority of the informal employee of the Kenyan population. And Madam Speaker, it is so bad that currently the fuel shortage has greatly impacted negatively to this sector. And many have been affected, especially the livelihood of Kenyans has been affected. Madam Speaker, we cannot say that the current shortage of fuel one needs to take a political mileage with it. In fact, when we talk about our deputy president, he is the deputy principal of the president, and we should not point a finger only to the president, but as a deputy president, he should be part and parcel of the solution to what is affecting Kenyans right now, unless he declared his position vacant. Madam Speaker, I want to say that we need to come collectively and work towards what is the best solution for Kenyans when it comes to this fuel shortage. When the deputy president, and I'm sorry to discuss an individual, but because he's the deputy president of Kenya, he was in the office and he is still in the office when we discovered the oil in the Turkana oil. He should have come up with strategies on how we can go along utilizing our own fuel, unlike what we are experiencing now. He should have informed the government on what else can we do to prevent this shortage. Madam Speaker, it is the highest time Kenyans need to know that people who are campaigning right now need not to take an advantage of the fuel shortage in Kenya and point a finger to the president as if they do not belong to this country. Madam Speaker, it is a wise thinking for any leader who stands on the pulpit to give a solution to Kenyans. We are suffering. Kenyans are suffering. My brothers down there, the porta sectors, are suffering. We need to discuss solutions and not blame each other, especially at this time of the current shortage of fuel, which is even affecting the farmer. This is a planting season. Farmers are having a problem, and this shortage, fuel shortage is more affecting any other commodity that is associated by transportation. So we need, and I want to urge the members of this House, that let us look for solutions that will heal Kenyans, and like pointing fingers to Kenya, to one individual, that he is the one who has done all this. Madam Speaker, give me only 1 second, and I want to finish by saying that we have cabinet secretaries, we have principal secretaries, we have sectors that really look into this fuel issue of fuel. Let them come up with solutions for Kenyans and not wait for Kenyans to cry, die poor when they are seated there and enjoying government vehicles. They are driving in government vehicles that are fueled by Kenyans' taxes, and we are suffering here, giving legislation that cannot even help. I want to urge you, let us discuss soberly, let us discuss minds that are there for Kenyans, and let us grow Kenya and not bring Kenyans to the dead end. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support the motion, and I warn anybody who comes along by condemning anybody, let us look for solutions and not blame. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ali Abdullah Ibrahim.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this motion, I think, is timely, and Senator Kangata has done the right thing, whether people want it or not, because this problem of fuel has affected a lot of people, and people are really suffering. Even myself, yesterday, I had to be in line for more than 2 hours to get fuel. Now, you see, everywhere in town, you can't even move now because of vehicles waiting to get fuel from petrol stations. And then here we are coming and blaming the deputy president. The deputy president is in opposition. Why are we blaming him? Let's talk about the government, which is part of us who are in government, and the opposition who has joined us. We ask ourselves, where did things go wrong? Because the deputy president has long time ago, he's just earning salary, but he's in opposition. So let's forget about him and ask those ones who are really concerned with these things and where things have gone wrong. You know, if we don't do the right thing, if we don't do the right things ourselves, those who are in government, and make blame games and political issues here, if there are people who are really concerned and have caused this problem, then the government of the day should take action. If there are cartels, action should be taken on those cartels, and we should be told why this is happening. If it is the government ministry who have failed to perform their duties, then we should ask them what really happened and where did things go wrong. So in this country, we should not always look at the political aspect of it. I think this is a very serious issue. Kenyans are really suffering, and we have responsibility to the citizens of this country. We need to defend our people where things have gone wrong. And we should not be trying to, cover up for when things have gone wrong. So as far as I am concerned, the individuals concerned, whether it is the petroleum ministry, whether it's other government agencies concerned, whether it is some individuals who have misused the powers they were given, including petroleum companies, whether there are others who are hoarding fuel to try and benefit from this. If it is issue of internationally, I can understand the war. Internationally will create some problems. The fuel prices might go up, yes, but Kenyans do not have to suffer because of interest of certain individuals who possibly want to benefit from these issues which have come up. It's all over the world, problems are there. But this is the first time I'm seeing Kenyans lining up all over for fuel. In all my, I've not seen it for, I can't remember ever seeing this. So this is not something that should be taken easily. This is not a political, if Senator Kangata thought there will be political mileage here, there's no political mileage. And something has to be done, and we make sure that whichever government is in position, whether now or in the future, this is not repeated again, Madam Speaker. In some areas now, in those areas where we come from, some of us, transportation vehicles which transport passengers were already very few. Now even those ones, because of this fuel crisis, they are doubling the fares everywhere, and the people are really suffering. So this is an issue the government should take seriously, and those ones who are concerned should be acted upon. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Wambua Enoch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to most sincerely thank Senator Kangata for bringing this motion to the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, on this one, for me, it matters not whether you are pushing forward an agenda that is perceived to be left of the center or right of the center. This is a crisis that this country is facing, and this crisis affects everyone across the political divide. And so, Madam Speaker, my contribution will be based on the principle that we have a responsibility and a duty of care to make sure that Kenyans are better served. Madam Speaker, yes, there are a lot of arguments around why we find ourselves where we find ourselves today in terms of the fuel crisis. There are some people who are blaming cartels. There are others who are blaming our government. Others are blaming the war in Ukraine. There are a lot of excuses around where we find ourselves today. But I still want to say, in countries that profess democracy, and in countries where leaders truly care about the well-being of their citizens, today what should have happened by now is that the minister responsible for petroleum should have resigned and gone home, or provided Kenyans with a solution to this crisis. Because this matter, Madam Speaker, is not getting any easier by the day. The crisis is deepening. Now, I listened to the PS in the ministry yesterday saying that they will be holding a meeting with marketers tomorrow. And for me, that is a complete, it's a leader who is completely out of touch with the reality on the ground. How can you be saying on a Monday that you'll be having a meeting with marketers on Wednesday to understand the crisis and see what you can do? Madam Speaker, in real and true democracies, the time that everything else stops, and we mop up money available in other sectors of the economy to stabilize the fuel crisis in this country. Madam Speaker, it will be remembered that last week I brought a statement to the floor of this House. The statement, the import of my statement, was to be given an update on the status of the stabilization fund for petroleum in the Treasury. I hope that the committee that was given this responsibility is working on this statement so we can know which way to go. Lastly, Madam Speaker, and if I'm timed out, I will request just for a minute. Lastly, Madam Speaker, you know, we must call out people. We must call out leaders. We should also be called out when we're on the wrong. Madam Speaker, it is not politically hygienic for the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya to go to the press and blame government for this crisis. Madam Speaker, it has been said, and I want to add my voice to it, that there is only one president in this country and there is only one principal assistant to the president in this country. And on a matter like this, both the president and his principal assistant are our fathers. So when the deputy president cries about a crisis in the petroleum sector, what are the consumers, what are the ordinary citizens supposed to do, Madam Speaker? I want to call upon all of us, because we are all leaders, to do what it is that we have to do to ensure that we stabilize petroleum prices so that we may be able to stabilize the prices of other commodities. And of great importance and urgency is to ensure, Madam Speaker, that we have fuel running in those pumps from as early as this evening. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Mudama Agnes Kavindu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to do my contributions to this motion from Senator Kangata. Madam Speaker, I think this crisis is here with us, just like the crisis of COVID was here with us. And I would ask the leaders of this country, instead of finger pointing, to look for a solution, and a permanent solution that will bring this petroleum crisis to an end, Madam Speaker, because now the transportation sector is suffering. People cannot travel comfortably and in time when they need to travel because of lack of fuel, and especially borders, and the people depend on borders, and this transportation sector, borders and matatus, they also depend on this for their income. And so they are not making enough income right now, and so they cannot put food on the table for their people or their families. Madam Speaker, I would maybe request the Ministry of Petroleum to look for ways and means of storing fuel in plenty, so that even when a crisis occurs, this was just a crisis of a day or two, and the whole country is crying. We should have ways and means of storing petroleum in a big way that even when any crisis comes to any country, or even when war breaks up, we will have enough to sustain us, even for a while, before people start crying and people start pointing fingers and calling names. And so, Madam Speaker, I will also join the rest of us to say that the President is not the cause of this alone,
but the whole leadership of the nation should come together and look for ways and means. And so it is surprising that the deputy president can point finger at the president alone. Him being his deputy is part and parcel of this problem, and so they should look for ways of amicably solving this problem together. Madam Speaker, this is a good motion, but ways must be looked for. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Finally, Senator Olekina Ledama, Senator for Narok.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this motion, which is quite timely on the current crisis that we have in this country. Madam Speaker, I was listening earlier on to Senator, the minority leader, equating this House to Bunge Mtaani, where people sit down and lament. And I, too, feel that's exactly what we're doing. We have a crisis in this country, and I think earlier on, the Principal Secretary in charge of petroleum and mining equated this to a run on the bank, where when the financial institution sent out an alert that they are running out of cash, all customers run to be able to withdraw money. Yes, we have a problem, and this problem is not only in the fuel sector. This problem is also affecting the cement industry. Madam Speaker, right now, a bag of cement is retailing at almost 900 shillings here in Nairobi. In places like Narok, it's retailing at almost 1,000 shillings because we have a big problem when it comes to the issue of the clinker, the importation. These are things that the government ought to sit down and really try to put them into order. Because if we are having a problem with OMCs, where they're saying that their subsidy has not been paid to them, and they send out an alert, and then Kenyans, out of panic, rush into the petroleum or petrol stations to buy all the fuel they can be able to buy, of course we will not be able to control this. So, Madam Speaker, mine is to call upon the ministry in charge of petroleum and mining to take a much more sober approach in trying to figure out how to deal with this. Madam Speaker, I'm beginning to really wonder what sort of management training do most officers in this country go through. We have the same problem in county governments where people, once they deduct the statutory deductions, they don't remit them where they're supposed to be remitted. So you ask yourself, why are you deducting in the first place? If you don't pay KRA, if you don't pay NSSF, if you don't pay NHIF. Here we have now KRA, instead of solving the problem of the clinker, importation of the clinker in the port, Kenyans are suffering. This country, Madam Speaker, we are hit on an annual basis by a crisis. We talk about the issue of COVID-19. It has destroyed very many businesses. We talk about the problem of the construction. When we are talking about building the industries in this country or really investing in the manufacturing sector, now cement manufacturers are paying through their nose or noses to be able to import the clinker, which ordinarily they would get it cheaper and it would pass through the port of entry without any problem. This fuel crisis, Madam Speaker, I was in Turkana yesterday, and I would request, Madam Speaker, you just add me 2 more minutes. I was in Turkana yesterday, and when you are flying over, you would see people queuing, and you'd ask yourself, what will this...
Yeah, you still have that 2 minutes.
Thank you. You ask yourself, what ripple effect will this have on the economy? Where people are queuing for over 2 hours to be able to buy fuel for them to transport people from one place to another. Suppose that was a person who was sick, who needed to go to the hospital. That person will not only die, or maybe their chances of living be reduced, and also in terms of even what that poor Kenyan will take home on that particular day will be reduced, because they'll be reduced to only carrying one customer. And maybe when you carry one customer, you spend the whole day queuing to pay 50 shillings. And the ministry is now equating it on a run on a bank where it's panic buying. Really, I think we need to pull up our socks when it comes to the issues of management. It is quite sad that, yes, we are lamenting, but I hope that someone out there will listen and do something. Those who are capable of doing it, solve the problem. You know, we have a committee on energy, but really, there's nothing much we do. And I'm sorry, I'm a member of that committee, but sometimes everything depends on the action that you intend to get once you call upon people to move. So we've got a crisis. We've not only got a crisis in the fuel sector, it is about to even get worse, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, yesterday, when I was going around Turkana, I felt like crying. I even regretted somewhat as to why I fight so hard for a lot of money to go to counties. When I know there is over 14 billion that goes to Turkana, yet people are continuing suffering. You'll find that there will only be 2 petrol stations, and everyone will be in those 2 gas stations waiting to be able to get petrol. You know, why wouldn't people even find the need to develop, or rather to move in and invest in that county when the county itself is not doing what they're supposed to do? Madam Speaker, this is not pointing a finger at one particular person, but it is the entire ministry. We know the cabinet secretary resigned, but I think the accounting officer, the PS, can be able to work. If you're importing fuel and you have an agreement with the oil marketers, we know there's a role played by the Kenya Pipeline Corporation. Why not bring all these 3 people together, make sure on a quarterly basis, and particularly ERC, the Energy Regulating Commission, why not sit down and say, okay, oil marketers, we've got X amount of money that belongs to you, we release it quarterly. So, Madam Speaker, the problem is really not Kenyans, like what the Cabinet Secretary was, the PS was trying to imply. The problem is the ministry itself. And this makes the government fails, because the government, when it's supposed to do things the certain way, the president cannot do all those things. The president delegates. So the person who has been delegated, who has been given the responsibility to ensure that all oil marketers who are importing do so, they meet their quotas, and we supply it across the country. You know, finally, Madam Speaker, let me remind Kenyans that even though we are facing a fuel shortage in this country, we are way much ahead of so many countries. Madam Speaker, if you watch CNN and see what is happening in Sri Lanka, you will cry. And this is all because of the issues of leadership. I hope that we will take lessons. We don't want to go to that extent where people will get upset and park their vehicles on the main road and walk because they cannot be able to take them anywhere. You know? But we are still better off than all those other developed nations, which you'll call them developed nations, which people are now, you know, cows are dying because you can no longer milk them. There's no diesel to take the milk to the shops. You know, we have to be careful not to hit that level in this country. We know the Senate will continue being empty. You know, I think when I look around, it's only the 2 of us here. And it will continue being empty, because all these distinguished senators will go out there and seek re-election. But I think Kenyans also out there should pay attention and say, who is out there, who is not doing his job, who is supposed to be fighting for me to be able to get relief? Because Kenyans expect a lot from us. But if we don't really give them what they expect, all of us will be failing. So, Madam Speaker, I support this motion, and I do hope that you will result into something. I do hope that the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining, you know, and maybe being moved by the Energy Committee in the National Assembly and also in this House, can be able to ensure that there are proper management, steps to ensure that we do not have this issue, which others are calling similar to a run on the bank. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, the Senate already adjourned by dint of the motion under Standing Order number 34, which has now been concluded. The Senate, therefore, is adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 6th April 2022 at 2:30 p.m.